So that wraps up this part. What kind of encouraged us doing this? We had talked about it, but yesterday we were sending a message in our group chat, and we ended up getting on a conversation that has been buzzing around the NBA for years in load management. It then spiraled into this several back and forth on Discord, and I was like, why are we putting this on Discord? We have a YouTube channel. We created this for these purposes, to have these discussions. That is what we want. So we're going to have it here. We are going to be discussing the NBA and load management and what our thoughts are on this topic. Now, before we start, this is how we're going to start. We're going to be a little civil. I know it'll be very hard. For this first part, we're gonna go around.
I don't do civil.
I'm gonna call each person, give quick thoughts, give like 20-second thoughts on your thoughts on load management. Then we can have our full-on argument of who, what, where, and all of that. So I will go first to kind of set the tone. My thoughts on load management is I don't mind it like most people. I get it. To me, you do what's best for you. If you think it's going to extend your career, go ahead, do it. And especially with some of the players, does it get annoying at times? Yes, I think some players do overdo it, but it is what it is. It's the NBA. This now people are trying to extend careers, injuries, and all of that. So I don't hate it like most people. We're then going to go to Max.
I'm kind of like Switzerland. I'm kind of neutral. I see the fans' perspective of, hey, I spent money. I don't get a chance to go to all these games. I want to see the best players play. What if I'm taking my kid? His favorite player is Kawhi Leonard, and he's not playing because, he doesn't feel like it. But then I also understand the player side of, like you said, extending careers. Players that do it, pretty much all the players these days, they're got to take the criticism that comes with it. People are going to complain about it. They're going to be okay. I don't want to hear you complaining about the people complaining about you not playing. You're going to get it, and it's pretty justified, especially when you get paid millions of dollars. I think you can handle it. And so both sides make sense. But for me, since I'm not in the NBA, I kind of agree more on the fan side of if you can play, play.
Let's go into Bobby.
It's a two-part question, really. I think if you're hurt, even if you have a nagging injury, you can sit down. That's fine because you don't want to make it worse. But if you're sitting like what Greg Popovich did back in the day for rest, that I can see being more of a problem. You don't have to play a full game if you really want them to rest. And if you want to keep the fans happy, play them like 10 to 12 minutes a game. Play them a quarter. That way they can still get their exercise in. They can still get their rest in, and the fans can still get to watch their favorite players play. But I know they would never do that. That's one thing they probably should. I would try at least.
Let's go, please. 20-second, quick. We know you have a big opinion. The two most strongest about this. Let's go to the mountain.
Yeah, I feel very passionately about this. My opinion is that if, of course, if you're healthy, or excuse me, if you're hurt and you don't, you want to sit out, that's fine. But if you're healthy, it's literally your freaking job. I just don't understand it. Like Max said, these poor fans, like I was telling y'all on the Discord, you have to do like 4D chess to schedule when to go to a dang NBA game because you're like, we want to see Hornets and Lakers, but we go to a back-to-back game because, LeBron and AD are going to sit out that one. That's just ridiculous. You have to do that just to see a game.
Mm-hmm. And finally, Vitamin J.
They don't rest them enough. No, I'm just kidding. I can't blame the players for doing it, especially because it hasn't seemed like the owners, at least right now, hasn't seemed to fight back too much. It'll be interesting to see what happens the next time they have to do the agreement to see if the owners do anything. But
only way they will if it affects the bottom line.
Yeah, I just think the only way to get rid of to at least lessen it is to get rid of the back-to-backs, and then that would probably help a lot.
Yeah, my thing, the NBA. How long is the NBA season?
If you start at the beginning of October, you could probably get rid of all the back-to-backs and still be done by June.
Yeah, but but you also have to take into account they have to plan out the arenas and stuff. So that's gonna be hard to do because there's gonna be concerts.
It's certainly manageable.
Yeah,
I don't think the Hornets are getting that many concerts. They could do it.
Yeah, but
I think you also got to look at. I think in this case, if you're going to get rid of back to backs, I think then the conversation needs to be had with lessening how many games you have.
no,
That would be the only way. Now I know the owners won't because that's a lot of
No.
money. Because the only way to make up for that money, you're now going to have to charge a higher ticket price.
Well,
Which again, the fans are going to.
The NBA players' contract's going to be less. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
paying someone. I'm not spending all that money for less games. So I mean, I don't know if the players can go for that either.
I think. Well, the players have argued for that.
Yeah, some have argued for.
Some
like a
have
60-something
argued,
game
but
season.
the owners have been kind of against. I think
That's fine.
I think maybe if you go to 70 and you cut out 12, because I feel some of the issue with load management is that the NBA season is really long, and there's a point where you're kind of like, do I need to play this game because I have time to make up if we lose? Whereas, like, with other sports, NFL, there's so much sense of urgency because you only have 17 games, you cannot load manage. Whereas in the NBA, it's like you got 82 games. Same with baseball, you got 100-something games.
60.
Granted, there's still 162. There's a little more wiggle room, especially NBA. You got all that. You got 8 teams that make playoffs. Like you got a little more wiggle room for some of the people who make it. That was just one solution. I don't think it was going to happen, but that's just my 2 cents.
Now, did the NBA no longer allows players to sit out for a rest? I know they used to, but they might have changed that rule.
Yeah, but they just lie and be like, oh yeah,
Oh,
he's
yeah.
got an
Say,
ankle.
they'll say, "Oh, your ankle hurts." Yeah.
I mean,
That's,
Yeah.
it all starts with Greg Popovich. He's the one that really started this.
Yeah.
yeah.
I said
Yeah.
his big 3. So I mean,
But,
I'm like Pop.
but I also think it's a lot different to sit because he was sitting Tim Duncan, who was damn near 40. It's a lot different with that than sitting. I mean, all these young players, rookies sit down. Like, what is up with that?
Now, here's where I'm going to also counter with that. And I know you probably are going to say the same thing. With load management, and why I think it's a little unfair that the players get blamed for load management. If we're going to go after the players for load management, why I'm fine with it is because I'm the same one who's also fine with teams tanking. Because teams have sat
absolutely.
healthy players to tank. So at the same time, if we're going to go after load management, we need to go after teams for tanking.
Phil, I was just
Because
about to
they've
bring
done-
that point up. I was just about to bring that point up.
Which again, you do you. What's best for you. If you want to tank, go tank.
Even though the NBA is supposed to have a no tanking policy.
You can never enforce that.
No,
Yeah,
you got to prove they legitimately
you
tanked.
would, yeah, you would have to find so much. Like I don't even know what evidence you would need. Like that'd be pretty concrete. Like the owner point blank saying, "Yeah, hell yeah, I'm
Yeah, probably,
tanking."
probably a leaked email. Probably
Yeah,
a leaked
leaked
email.
Paying players or
He's
something.
like, we tanking AF, baby.
I remember one year, like Eric Bledsoe was healthy, and this was back when he was a good player, and the Suns sat him out for the rest of the year.
Well, the
Yeah, he
Thunder
was
did that with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right?
Yeah, which I think is absolute bull.
Yeah.
Bull, to do that, especially if the player wants to play that, you're just holding him out. I think that should, to me, that I felt like that should
be illegal.
Player association.
I mean, that is a player association issue.
That is.
I know they're getting paid
Fine.
anyway, so in the end, it's probably good for them. But
Yeah, it's probably like near the bottom of the list of their things they want to get done.
I don't know, man. I feel
It
like
doesn't
if you're
sit
a
right
ball
with me.
player, you want to ball, right? I
Why
mean, I
not?
feel like
That's
if you
what I'm
make that
saying.
level, you want to play.
yeah, that stuff don't sit right with me.
Yeah, because I think for some of them it might suck because if I'm some of them, you also got to think about your contract, and especially if you're in a contract year where you have to hit certain incentives to get that contract, especially in the NBA, you have to hit certain incentives to get a certain max contract. So yeah, that can affect what needs to be done.
Yeah, so like, I know I mentioned this in the group chat, but another thing that is not often discussed is like the specialization in sports is
Mhm.
resulting in a lot of injuries, starting from the young players. If you start getting injuries when you're young, you're gonna start getting them when you're older. So that's another thing that's hurting the game. I think is that it's every sport. If you're good at one sport, they want you to only do one sport.
Yeah.
Isn't good for your body, and even the NBA has really said like the past like 4 years, injuries keep going up.
Yeah. Well, because these players have a lot more wear and tear. They're coming with a lot more wear and tear than the old days.
Yep, and all they're doing is playing basketball. They're not taking any time to rest.
Yeah, because if you look at it, and I was delving in some of this because this was going back to remember when NCAA started with that huge scandal of paying, like the big one when they were investigating, where it wasn't even actually NCAA, the FBI was investigating Kansas and still investigating all those teams. They started going into it of like you're talking about these players that even the young age, they're doing AAU, they go into their high school season, then go right back to AAU. There's not much break. Same with other sports. Soccer has it. The only one that pretty much has it is kind of football is really the only one that kind of still takes a break just because you only do so much. But they were talking about how because the growing popularity, unfortunately, what has been a byproduct of that is teams want to keep you playing because guess what? Now I can charge you and make so much more money off of you playing. Because if you're playing AAU, I'm now paying you for fall. I'm paying you for you're paying me in fall, spring, and then you're also probably playing for training because you want to get better. They're trying to monetize sports essentially at all levels. Yeah.
Like I said, that's only resulting in more injuries. Like it's not just basketball, again, baseball. High school is like some parents are trying to get their high schools to get Tommy John surgery because of how much they're pitching. But if they do that, their kid can play longer. The article I was saying says it's because they're just putting too much stress on one part of the body. They would have played like a different sport, it would start relieving some of that stress and heal the ligaments, but it's not going to change.
Yeah, right. Multi-sport athletes are going to get rarer and rarer.
Okay, Hunter. All right, the mountain. Well, how would you solve? And please leave Kyrie. Whatever. Say what you want about Kyrie. This is essentially where the statement came from.
Yeah. So now these players, I mean, they need to play if they're healthy. And so what I would do, I mean, honestly, I think they're screwing themselves for that CBA. Honestly, because if I'm an owner and these players want to get paid these guaranteed contracts, then you got to play. If you are not going to play, you're not going to have a guaranteed contract. I'm sorry, that's not how it is. But I would start with having it to where you cannot win any awards unless you play 65 games.
Well,
because that's
you have to do.
Well, I'm talking about any awards, any NBA. I made it with like 50-something games the other year. Because I'm talking about any award. Because the 65 games is only 80% of the season. And so, I mean, I don't feel like that's a lot to ask.
I mean, Adam Silver said last year they are considering games played minimum for awards, so it is something they're talking about.
Because then that would affect them monetarily because, certain incentives, like, if you win MVP, you get a bonus or whatever.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, that's one thing I would do.
Yeah,
it's also like all NBA. You have to have a certain amount of all NBAs to get a certain max. To get the second max, like to get the max, you have to have certain NBAs and all that.
Yeah,
exactly. The whole criteria for it. But Vitamin J, you were the other passionate.
I don't feel I was passionate. I was just trolling.
Tell him his idea was stupid. Tell him.
You should rest them a certain minimum of games, 20 at least.
What are you saying, man?
Can't risk it.
What are your opinions on today's players?
I mean, here's my thing. This has never been an issue with like wrestling players until like this generation. Like back in Jordan's day, they did back-to-backs and it was no problem. Jordan played 82 games for a bunch of his career. Same thing with Stockton. And they were plenty of. It's not like this is back in the 80s when they didn't, when they weren't nearly as athletic. I know they're more athletic now, but they're not that much more athletic than they were in the 90s, 2000s. And they had no issue playing the majority of the games, barring injury. So I just don't understand like why now it's a big issue. It's like, I mean, and I know these guys, they're, amazing athletes, amazing players, but like they're soft compared to the other generation. They are.
No, hold back. Fully go. This is it. And this is where I'm gonna disagree with you. Is I think it's just a difference of generation mentality. Is that nowadays generation, especially our generation, started realizing, why the hell am I working myself to that? I'm going to work smarter, not harder. And we're seeing this across the board.
Here's my thing, Phil. They're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game. Play the damn game.
Okay, hold on. Let me go. We're again, where I am going to say is because of things, just because of the wear and tear on their bodies that have happened, because unlike in Jordan's generation, where a lot of them played multiple sports, like Jordan played baseball, several of them were in track or had off seasons. These players have not, that their bodies are breaking down. Also, from a point of if I am the player, I'm also thinking about my long-term health of like, if I get hurt a lot, maybe the smartest thing is for me to rest. Let me extend my NBA career because I'm extending how much money I'm making. I know they do get paid millions, but at the same time, I don't blame them because I know with several of them, they're also thinking about their families of how long can because several of them are also coming from families that have no money or didn't have much. How long can I protect my family so they don't have to worry about money ever again in their lives? Let me get as many contracts because essentially by the time I'm 30, I'm done pretty much making a lot of my money. Like, unless they do endorsements and all of that. So maximize. Oh, go ahead.
I hear that, but then I hear if you have that mentality, then just don't expect to get paid for every game you don't play. I can't not show up to work and expect to get paid. That's just not how it works.
So you're saying they didn't start putting injury clauses in the contracts?
Well, no, because half these players aren't even injured, whether they want to admit it or not.
Just because they're not physically injured doesn't mean they don't have mental issues they may work through. Oh
my God! Don't Kyrie.
Okay. To be fair, Kyrie doesn't load manage. He just takes pauses. All right, so you can't even blame Kyrie on that. He does not load manage. He just takes pauses. He just leaves. That's not load management. That's not load management.
Isn't he already missing games for the Mavericks? It's pathetic, honestly.
I think he missed one or two.
You've been off for how long? Now you gotta take a little break, because
he's an inquisitive mind, man.
Man, so is everybody.
Kyrie's got to go spread his knowledge.
Kyrie is definitely a dude who thinks he's way smarter than what he is. He definitely thinks other people are dumb.
Him and Aaron Rodgers are the exact same person, probably.
Yeah.
I feel like Aaron Rodgers is less. He's less vocal about it.
Aaron Rodgers probably believes the world is round. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably the only difference, really, because him asking Deshaun Kaiser the first time he ever talked to him,
believe in 9/11.
Yeah, do you believe?
That's hilarious.
Look, Kyrie probably believes 9/11 as well a conspiracy.
Then he says you should read up on that.
Yeah.
I will say, Aaron Rodgers with some of the stuff he says about whatever he does in this whole. I was immunized or whatever.
I know. It's like, come on.
Kyrie was straight up saying he wasn't going to get it.
We're both anti-vax. At least Rodgers doesn't have the touch of racism that Kyrie brings.
Well, that we know of, man.
Just a touch. Just a touch.
Kyrie just touched. But didn't you hear? He's Jewish people in his family. He legit played that I know black people, so I can't be racist. That's hardly played.
You got
to. You missed the podcast where you had your opportunity to really go into.
I know.
We had overrated athletes right there for you, and you weren't there.
He's. Well, he's definitely overrated. Every team gets better when you leave. You're not. Okay, I take that back. You're not trash. He's not trash, but he's overrated.
He is one of the most overrated players of all time.
If you ask Kyrie Irving, he'll probably tell you that he is the greatest human he's ever met.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he's humble. He'll probably tell you he's humble too.
The most.
To get back onto this idea, I'm interested is with the CBA coming up. I think they got 2 more years till the CBA comes up again. What the owners do say, because I think, like we've talked about before, guaranteed contracts are never going to go away. NBA players will never, because of the star-driven league, NBA players will never go for that. There's no way.
I know that guarantee for it, but if I'm an owner, if they're intent on not playing games, but if I'm an owner, I fully intend for them to play, and I'm not going to pay them. If they want to sit out, then fine, but you're not getting paid guaranteed contract. You're not getting paid for games missed, barring injury, of course.
They probably won't get an increase in revenue share if that's what they're seeking. The owners may be like, no, you're not doing that.
I just feel like they just did themselves such a huge disservice, the players.
Now, what's going to happen is bigger issues when you sign a player to a star contract and they ask for a trade for a year later.
Oh yeah, see
I think that's the one they're going to be.
That's another thing that's got to stop.
Yeah, that's going to hurt way more.
That's another thing.
Yeah, that's going to hurt because at least with load management, I could just see some of the players coming back with, okay, so what about tanking? Because you sit players that are healthy. So where's the equal of if we're not doing this, then you shouldn't be able to tank as well. And that's where they're probably kind of now that other one is what you really got to get on is players asking for trades like with Durant,
Ben Simmons. I feel like almost every player has done it.
Granted, some of them I'm going to say that was your own fault, owners, because I don't know why you tried to get Ben Simmons. I'm still with it. I don't know why you tried to trade for him. We all knew it was horrible.
But I think they're going to say that you got to stay on that team for a minimum of 2 years before you can ask for a trade. Or something. This could be like some penalty for trying to get out early of these supermax contracts.
That or like they have to like pay X amount of money back or something.
Yeah,
like they have to hurt them some way. They have to really want it.
I'm not stuck to some of these trade requests because I can also see it from the owner because you got a situation like Kevin Durant is the big one because at least. Some of them, and I know sometimes, I remember when when it first started, people started blaming LeBron, but it was like, wait, no, LeBron left every time he was a free agent. He never demanded a trade. That's different. And even Anthony Davis was 1 year left, and that's when he started saying, I'm not re-signing, trade me. Which, again, with 1 year left, I'm not really horrible about it.
At least for that, Anthony Davis told the team ahead of time instead of, like,
Oh, yeah, because I could just keep my mouth quiet, and then you lose me for nothing. I think where, it gets in problem with Kevin Durant where granted they traded Kyrie first, but once a KD and you're trying to win a championship, I'm now trading for KD. I lose you. Now I lose my centerpiece. Now I also have to probably trade my other pieces because I'm now paying you for a bunch of money, but I'm probably going to have to rebuild. And because you're not going to want to be here because we're not contending unless I get a star for a star, which that rarely ever happens. And it rarely is the case that you get an equal trade for a star.
I'll say rarely.
Yeah, very rare. So where that one's probably when the owners will start fighting.
And Hunter, you think load management is bad now? Just wait 10 years.
You can they'll play half a season and expect to get paid $200 million.
Sounds like
Austin Rivers did bring up a good point. Even though he's a part of that culture, is that he says this new generation is going to be the highlight culture because that's all they care about is the highlights. No
all I'm saying is, why don't people listen to Anthony Edwards? Play ball, man. Come on.
He hasn't played enough. That's why.
Yeah, that's what a lot of.
He's still playing every game. He got rookies that are playing games.
He's only in his third year.
And he's
that carried more weight.
Okay, but Anthony Edwards played the majority of his games, has he not?
Yeah, at least Edwards right now is backing up what he's saying. Two of his 3 years so far, he has the most games played.
Yeah. He is backing up, but I think with some of the older ones, they're going to be like, because let's really get into the ones that we really have a problem with. Is that if I'm Kawhi, I'm looking at him like, yo, bro, you're in your third year. Like once you get to my level, then tell me how much in my injury system. Then you can start talking. But again, Kawhi is also because with some of these players that are load managing, do they start looking at it as, hey, I'm also trying to think about because. And somebody brought this point up. An issue with load management might have started when we started talking about rings. And it's what do you do in the playoffs? What do you do with the rings? And some of these players who are injury prone are now thinking, well, if I'm hurt, I play all 82 games, but then I get hurt, then I get crapped on if I go to the playoffs and I don't play well. Like, there's where it's like.
But my thing about getting hurt in the playoffs is that, I mean, it doesn't matter if you play 80 games or 30 games. I mean, you have no idea when you get hurt in the playoffs. It's just these things happen. So, I mean, it just, that to me doesn't make any sense, like worrying about injury.
I think it's
Because
let me lessen
it's-
the chance because if I'm healthier, realistically, the more rest I get, the less chance I get of being healthy. The more likely I'm healthy.
Now, like I said, with Kawhi, if he wakes up and the sun's not shining, all of a sudden he might have a hurt back. You can
Yeah.
never tell when Kawhi's healthy.
Oh yeah, that's why I laughed when people thought he was coming back last year with that tour after he tore his ACL. I'm like,
I mean,
Yeah,
we don't
like,
even
are
know
you
exactly
serious?
what he did to that knee. They never really said, did they?
yeah, I'm like, well, what Kawhi do you know? Like, he ain't coming back. He's not coming back. But that I guess those are all going to be interesting conversations that we are going to have, and I think it's just also a different mentality where I could get it from a fan perspective, but there is annoyingness of if you spend all the money, you're trying to see your favorite player, they don't play, you just spend all that money. Granted, that's just the risk we're running into, and the NBA at the same time is going to look at it like, well, are we losing our bottom line? Because the good thing is the NBA has now, it kind of did this right now, and football is kind of doing this more of understanding nowadays generation of how important social media is. Granted, the NFL doesn't really have to do this just because they're more popular, but NBA has utilized social media, has utilized highlights more, that it has helped them kind of cross brand and make that extra money and get a lot of players to still be fan favorites because they use social media, because nobody's watching every game. Like, well, most people aren't watching every single game. We just don't have the time. But just using that to a better extent of still seeing highlights and stuff like that.
Yeah, the only thing I've noticed is that, it happens every year, but NBA ratings are down, but that's just the way it is now.
Yeah, it's like all sports ratings are
You
down.
can't just say for 100% it's because players are resting. But
I'm sure it plays a factor. Because you just don't. It's like, oh, why should I tune into this game?
Yeah, it's a factor, but at the same time, all sports, NFL ratings have gone down, and people was claiming
NFL's up.
It is up. Okay.
Yeah,
this Super Bowl was the most.
I know this Super Bowl was one of the most watched ones.
They were going down, then they started going back up.
Mm-hmm.
They were going down though.
So it is one of those things, but I think also what we got to look at is, there's a lot of factors, but are they losing their money still in that sense of how much money are they losing?
Is when they renegotiate contracts, they may not want to pay as much as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
I sure shit wouldn't.
Because right now, like the NBA Finals in 2020 averaged $7.45 million. In 2019 it was $15 million. So if like ABC may be like, I'm not paying you $30 million for the finals. I'll pay $20 million. Another question is, how much do these modern players have a love for the game?
That doesn't seem like much. Doesn't seem like they got a lot.
It's only going to get worse in my opinion. But there'll be some players like Anthony Edwards who's committed. You got other players like, I don't know, you just think of Kawhi Leonard, but not someone like Kawhi Leonard. Like, I'm feeling I have a nagging injury right now. I'm not playing.
I feel we're getting too much into that. Oh, it's the love of the game.
Okay, you get paid how much money?
I get it. It's just a different generation. We just gotta understand.
Okay. Well, it could be a different generation with not guaranteed. I mean, that's just the way it is. I'm just saying, I'm an owner.
Sounding like old heads. Oh, these young kids today. You don't want to go out there and work and pay. Like, come on. You're sounding like that.
What other job pays you for not doing any work or not showing up? None.
It doesn't, but
Okay, well, fine.
There's several politicians I question.
That's fine.
I question how much you work.
Outside those two, not many jobs will pay you.
Yeah. And then what jobs pay you millions of dollars? Not.
It's a different job, like job for job. Like there's a lot of things that it is what it is. They're athletes. They get advantages to be that rich. You get certain special advantages.
It can be is what it is when you don't get paid for games missed.
I mean, I'm not 100% of like, hey, maybe they should, but I'm just saying let's not question their love of the game and all. Now, yes, do I think some do not love the game? Yes, Ben Simmons definitely does not love the game, and it's clearly shown you. But at the same time, I have questioned that for many years. Oh no, still like the NBA. I still enjoy watching it.
Oh yeah, I still like the NBA, but I just think these players need to get their crap together.
Thank you all so much for coming in and enjoying. this probably won't be our only NBA review. We'll probably do one like a month. And we'll do another one in March and probably maybe do one like more once playoff starts and do like each round wrap up of playoffs and everything. So just to give you that content. Thank you again for tuning in. Thank you for all the subscribers, all the new commenters, especially the ones that agreed with me about SpongeBob. Thank you. There are people out there. Like I've been trying to.
Man, sometimes the most is popular for a reason. Sometimes it's just because the quality is that good.
Let us know if there's any topics you want to talk about. My name's Legacy.
Max.
I'm Bobby.
Bottom of J.
And Hunter.